There's a couple different ways to use them. A lot of traders use them to try and trade in between, buy when it hits the lower band, sell when it hits the higher band. That's one way to use them. Another way
All right, everybody, welcome back. We're still watching here the markets. S&P futures still getting killed. While we're looking at that, though, I'm going to bring on a special guest and a friend of mine, Hardeep Walia, co-founder and CEO of Motif Investing. Good morning, Hardeep. Are you on the West Coast this morning?
I am indeed.
So nice and early for you. For everybody that doesn't know, Motif is one of the most innovative companies in the financial technology space and financial investing space for a long time, disrupting what is known as basket trading and bucket trading with Motif. Hardeep, can you explain a little bit of what Motif does?
Yeah, think of Motif as a concept-driven trading platform. We all think conceptually, and what Motif does, it allows you to build motifs, thematically weighted baskets of stocks that you can trade for a single stock transaction. $9.95 to buy 30 stocks, weighted as you like, and you can build your own motif. We're about to now 75,000 motifs built by our customers, or you could buy one of the motifs that we've built. And the motifs take three different categories. They're hot trends. I believe Amazon will deliver packages via drones one day, and so I want to get on the drone action today. It can be a trading strategy. I want to buy the most beaten down stocks automatically every week. Go do that for me Motif. And we have a buy on the dip motif. Or it could be I want to invest like my old professor Dave Swenson, who runs Yale's endowment. I just want to invest like Dave. So we take these concepts, we make them actionable. All you got to do is press a button.
Now, what was an idea has turned into so much more. Motif has raised millions of dollars from some big names, including Goldman Sachs. So this is obviously an idea that has a lot of weight behind it. Coming up through with ETFs, and this has kind of been called the disruptor of ETFs. How'd you come up with the idea?
I was staring at my I had taken a leave of absence from Microsoft. I was an executive there for quite some time. And I love to trade. And one of the frustrations I had is I didn't have a lot of time. So I wanted to invest in the mobile internet. And this was 2009. And when I called up everyone I knew, hedge fund friends of mine, VCs, people who knew nothing about the markets, everyone would tell me, just buy Apple. And that wasn't a very fulfilling way to invest in the mobile internet. It didn't include the cell phone tower companies, the chip companies, the screen companies. So I built the first Motif with a friend, and it was 30 stocks. And then I didn't want to spend $10 a trade to buy it. And there were no ETFs or mutual funds that gave you exposure. The power of what we do is we can launch a Motif, literally the next day. So the day after Hurricane Sandy, we launched a Rebuilding After Sandy Motif. And so we give people an easy starting point, and then you can customize. We've been described as a customizable, no-fee ETF. And hence the, Motif, the ETF killer, the ETF 2.0 acronyms that get thrown at us. But it really is this ability to take a concept, save you time, save you money, and you can tailor a motif. If you haven't played with our site, click on the customize button. You see these sliders that move left and right, so you can overweight categories, underweight stocks, and pretty soon you're going to be able to even go long short within a motif just by moving these sliders around.
All right, so I just clicked on Explore Motifs when I'm on the site, motifinvesting.com, and the top two up in this section are Bear U.S. sectors. Everyone's worried about this bear market right now. I mean, we got the ES getting smoked here in the morning. Even Intel reporting good earnings, good guidance yesterday, still down, getting pummeled. What kind of motifs, or when people come onto Motif, how can they use this tool to even play the bear market right now?
So we have a number of bear motifs, and you can see they're up. Some of them are up 18% this month alone. So there is a push towards bear. Some of this is done defensively. I might have a portfolio. I just want to protect it, so I'll move into a bear position just to kind of hedge. But you're also seeing motifs do really well, like buy the dip, right? A good time to buy the dip. This will run an algorithmic screen and go through every week and buy the most beaten down stocks. All you got to do is click buy if you agree. If you want to add your own stocks, you can tweak it a little bit. So buying on the dip's doing well. And then there are some long strategies that are doing well. In times like this, our caffeine fix motif is trending well. Our junk food motif is trending well. These are kind of like staples and have a defensive position if you do and if you do want some long exposure. So we're seeing good uptick on those two motifs as well.
All right, so let's ask the question that everyone wants to know. What's your favorite motif?
I have to be careful, but because this is not a recommendation, and you have to check with your advisor and all that good stuff. I'm long term. I'm a big believer in things like shale. They're getting massacred right now. I do think, as a country, it has a very important role in our economy and role in our national security. And one of the things I like about our shale motif, for example, we have a gas, oil, we have a fracking motif if you want to invest in the arms dealers. But one of the nice things is that our shale gas motif, for example, is reserve weighted. So it's weighted by different shale gas regions. So when I was in Pennsylvania reading about not too long ago how they were going to suspend licenses because of fracking concerns, you can actually use that customized button that we just talked about, take your exposure out of Western Pennsylvania and move your money to Texas. And it's those kinds of scenarios that makes our product pretty special.
Oil's just been getting killed, so you're long and you're buying the lows here, eh?
I'm watching oil. Oil has I do believe in mean reversion like most people. And so I am watching oil carefully. But right now we are in a glut. I wouldn't be jumping in, but that's a motif that I'm an oil trader. So I watch oil very, very closely, full disclosure. So I'm not advocating buying. I'm advocating watching. And oil is one of those things that just bounces around. You just need to know when to get in. So I'm watching oil.
The carefully crafted in words, Hardeep Walia. Let's talk about your experience. So we bring on a lot of entrepreneurs onto the show, talk about exactly what they went through because in trading and entrepreneurship there is a lot of similarities. When you started Motif and even in your past experiences in Microsoft, what were some of the hardships you went through to get Motif to where it is today, and some of those pivotal decisions that when you look back on say, wow, like that we absolutely needed that and it came at the right time?
Yeah, so it's all there are a lot of mistakes. Nothing more humbling than going from a very large company and running a large division there to literally being in a room with a bunch of engineers and trying to change the world. Very, very different experience. I think we got a lot of things wrong. One of the things I got wrong is I thought our early adopters would be millennials. We have a lot of millennial customers right now, but our early adopters were high net worth, ultra high net worth retirees and traders, right? Mm-hmm. And that wasn't something I put in our original business plan. And so we literally had to change a lot of our, we weren't supporting trusts when we started, so we really had to scramble to go keep these customers happy because we weren't originally targeting them. And now we've got a very good, broad section. I think for us, the challenge is always around managing risk in the market. On days like this, traders do well, but mainstream America, they get like worried about it. And so, we've all been taught you can either sleep well or eat well. We actually believe you can kind of, it is about ands, it isn't about ors. And you're going to see us do some fascinating things next year about managing risk, because that's a really important part of our business. And you're going to see us launch into lots of different categories next year. We've been doing a massive migration on our technology to really get it to scale, because we're going to be doing some partnerships with some very large financial institutions. And that's taken a lot of time. I mean, when you start to scale from, small startup stage to now being institutional quality of much greater scale, there's just a lot of work. But the good news is we're done on that, and we're going to be launching a lot of new features next year.
So you've been one of the leaders here in financial technology in terms of innovation and venture capitalism, and this is we've seen tremendous growth with money coming into these types of companies. With you leading it, where do you see where we're kind of going in financial technology with everybody coming in? I love what you just said about managing risk and also the millennials, but where are we going next with financial technology and disruption?
So I think there are three classes of innovation that are hitting the industry right now. There's what I call Advisor 2.0. Throw out your advisor, use a robo instead. There's a Broker 2.0. Let's do some fancy gamification on it. And then there's kind of a product fund 2.0. right? And you've seen companies kind of play individually in each of these spaces and kind of do their innovation. Our view is you kind of need all three. So we've got, an advisor platform that's doing really well that we sell directly to financial advisors. And there's a lot of innovation you're going to see in that category of how do we make the advisor's job easier. We've chosen a path, for example, of working with the advisor versus replacing the advisor, giving them power tools so they can focus on giving advice. Motif will do everything else. On the product, you're going to see us do some pretty creative things next year to bring down the cost of fund products. Right? We can pretty much clone any strategy out there. And part of our innovation that took us years to develop is the fact that we'll sell you 30 stocks that you actually own in real time for the cost of a single stock price, and it's actually a high-margin product. And most people can't do these small dollar trading, and that's a huge source of competitive. That's the disrupting engine of our company. And then you're going to see social play a very important part, right? We do very little marketing, and a lot of it is driven through our social platform. And the ability to trade with your friends all around you in a way that you feel comfortable, or invest if you're a long-term investor, that social thing people have underestimated how important that is in going to the market. So I trade with all my friends. I'm usually on chat or phone. Now I can bring them onto Motif. That part is going to actually be very, very important as the industry evolves. No one's really thinking through that right now.
Yeah, that kind of goes into the millennial conversation. They're just not buying stocks like their parents did. How important is it for the market for millennials to get involved?
So I think there's two big differences with the millennials, and I think some of the data that the industry is looking at is a little flawed because it's not that they're not trading. You look at unemployment rates; they're at an all-time high. So they don't have jobs to trade. So I think that has a big influence, and I think people go in and say, where's the missing generation? Well, the missing generation, a lot of them don't have jobs, and that skews the data from the historic data where the biggest traders were typically the younger, 30-year-olds and then the retirees because they have time, right? A lot of us in between don't have the time. But I think it is a fair fact. We were meeting with a very large institution who told me that in the next 20 years, their entire customer base is going to churn, and millennials are going to take over. And these millennials care about what they're invested in. Let me give you an example. Don't tell my wife I said that. We're roughly the same age. We have very similar investment horizons and goals. Politically, we're very different. She's very left-wing. I'm very centrist. And when we go to the market as an investor, everyone will give us the same product, the same asset allocation mix. And in our model, we actually want you to care. You're seeing like the Rockefellers now make a huff and puff about shale. They don't want it in their endowment. Harvard, Berkeley, students are protesting, saying the endowment should be investing in a way that's consistent with values. And we see the millennials as values with an S investors. They care about what they're invested in. So back to my wife and I, we have the same asset allocation mix for our long-term retirement. But in her portfolio, she has things like no glass ceilings, women-led companies. She has clean technology. I have a lot of oil and stuff that's consistent. And she doesn't buy the no glass ceiling motif, for example, because she just thinks, it's just an emotional thing. She does it because it hugs the S&P, and given the choice of buying Spider versus no glass ceiling, she feels she'd rather buy that and be consistent. I've got friends of mine who are gay who say, why would I invest in companies that aren't consistent with my values, that might be lobbying against my personal values? And so the millennials have this value, and that's one of the differentiations with Motif. We want you to care about what you're invested in. You can still run an asset mix. You can still build a portfolio. And to help the millennials get started, we even put out, and nobody believes me. Nobody believes me. I spent 2 hours with the managing editor of a very famous newspaper explaining how this is completely free. We do not make money. But we have a Horizon model. These are 9 asset allocation models that are available bit-free, commission-free, rebalancing fee-free. We do everything for you. And that's the place we want millennials to get started. And as they get more confidence, they can start to figure out what else they want to invest in.
Wow, that's fantastic. You said the Horizon models, right?
Yes, the Horizon. So these are basically you pick what's your investment horizon, what's your risk. We don't put all the complexities of a robo-advisor. And we're going to do some interesting things to help you figure out not just your risk horizon, your risk and your investing horizon. We want you to ask you about your values. So when you see advisors on our platform that are using it, They sit down with clients, they ask them the usual risk assessment questionnaire, but they also ask you, what are your political beliefs? How do you want to teach your children how to invest? So it's a very holistic view, and their clients love it. And you're going to see us start to launch this very publicly in the next few months.
Awesome. Well, why is it so hard to invest in a good idea? No longer is. Motif Investing. Hardeep, appreciate you coming on, man. Love what you guys are doing. You're leading this space in innovation, and all eyes are on you guys. So keep it up, and hope to here's the good news you guys are announcing soon.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, Hardeep, take it easy.